Here we have an equation with fractions, so we must find the LCM. Firstly, you should notice that the denominator here and the denominator here differs in sign. So we can get these two denominators the same by taking out a minus as common from one of them. So if we start with the first one and I rewrite this as x minus 2 below the line, then I multiply with a minus on top, which gives me an x. And the rest stays the same. Minus 1 over x minus 3 equals 2 over x minus 2. And if we now determine the LCM of the denominators, we see that our LCM is x minus 2 times x minus 3. Now it's good mathematical practice to write down the restrictions the moment you've written down the LCM. So here we know the restrictions: x may not be 2 and x may not be 3 because these are denominators. So now we take the whole left hand side and the whole right hand side and we multiply this by the LCM. Let's write small up here, the LCM x minus 2, x minus 3. So that's what we're multiplying with. The x minus 2 will cancel out in this first term, and I will get x times x minus 3. And in the second part of the bracket, x minus 3 will cancel out here, and I will get minus x minus 2. And now on the right hand side, we multiply the whole right hand side by the LCM, x minus 2, x minus 3. So the x minus 2 cancels out with the x minus 2 in the LCM, and I'm left with 2 times x minus 3. Now we must simplify. This gives us x squared minus 3x minus x plus 2 equal to 2x minus 6. This is a quadratic equation, so let's make it equal to 0. And simplifying, this gives us x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Fortunately, we can factorize this and get x minus 4 times x minus 2 equal to 0. So x will be 4 or x will be plus 2. We must go back to our original restrictions. X is not allowed to be 2. So 4 is a valid solution, but 2 in this situation is not a valid solution. Number 2, I am going to directly remove a minus sign from this denominator, and then I rewrite the first term as minus 4 over x plus 1. And now let's factorize the denominator each time, so this becomes x minus 2 x plus 2, because this was a difference of squares in the denominator. And on the right hand side I have x plus 2 times x plus 1. So remember, if the denominator can factorize, then we factorize the denominator first before we determine the LCM. So now our LCM can be written as x plus 1, x minus 2, x plus 2. Immediately write down your restrictions. X is not allowed to be minus 1 and x is not allowed to be plus or minus 2. Now we are going to multiply each term by the LCM. The x plus 1 will cancel out with that x plus 1, so I'm left with minus 4 times the other two, x minus 2, x plus 2. And let's simplify this immediately as x squared minus 4. Plus 5, the x minus 2 and x plus 2 will cancel out, so I'm left with 5 times x plus 1. And on the right hand side, the x plus 2 and x plus 1 will cancel out, so x minus 3 times x minus 2. Because there are two terms in the numerator, remember to write them down inside brackets. It will save you time in the future. If we multiply out our brackets, we get minus 4x squared plus 16 plus 5x plus 5 equals x squared minus 5x plus 6. In this step, I can divide right through by a minus 5. This will give me x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals to 0, and this can factorize. So this becomes x minus 3, x plus 1 equal to 0. So x has to be 3 or x has to be minus 1. Remember, we must quickly check according to our restrictions. X may be 3, but x may not be minus 1, so this solution is not a valid solution, not applicable. Number 3, the LCM is x plus 3, so immediately we can write down that x may not be minus 3. Multiply the whole left-hand side, which is x plus 2, by the LCM. And on the right-hand side, I have only 2 because the x plus 3 will cancel out with the LCM. We must multiply this out because we want a 0 on either the left or the right-hand side. This gives me x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 2. So x squared plus 5x plus 4 will be equal to 0. This can factorize. X plus 4 times x plus 1 will equal 0. So x is either minus 4 or minus 1. Both of these solutions are valid because x may only not be minus 3.